Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Awaken Authentic Self. I know I have not been on here for a minute, but that's simply because I've taken time for myself, which actually is going to go with today's topic, which is the ways of how we self-sabotage and don't realize it. The way that we self-sabotage and don't realize it. So I'm just going to jump into it. And I have a few examples, and these are not all the examples. This is not a all end all be all, or a one size fits every situation. There's so many different examples. And so after this video, feel free to comment in the chat and maybe mention and share another example of how we self-sabotage. So the first example I have is taking good people for granted. Taking good people for granted. Have you ever been a victim being taken for granted by a friend, a family member, a partner, a coworker? How did it make you feel? We all have limits, and this is what takers don't realize, is that at some point you're going to break. At some point, it could vary from person to person. One person, it can be a week. One person, it could be a couple of years. One person, it could be a decade. But when a person consistently takes another for granted, not appreciating them, not considering their schedule, not considering their feelings, just thinking that person is always going to be there, there will come a time when that person who was so reliable, who was so supportive, that was, your ace, your head honcho, that person will part ways. So it's very, very important to recognize, be able to identify when you have people who are truly on your team, when you have people who will root for you no matter what, people who love you when you're up, people who love you when you're down, because, we live in this world where people can be so fake, They will come around you and make you think it's about you, but really, it's your energy. Right? Because you may be elevating at a particular time. Somebody walks in on your life at a particular chapter of the book. Somebody walks in, they see you doing well. So, of course, they're going to be attracted to that. But never take for granted the people who walk into your story when you're not doing so well, and they still love you. They still embrace you, right? They still want to be around you. They still include you. So never take people for granted because you self-sabotage, because it's very hard to find good people. Number 2, letting fear hold you back from taking the next steps. Letting fear hold you back from taking the next steps. If you've already progressed to a certain point in an area, maybe with school, maybe you were trying to get a 4-year degree or a master's degree, and you're almost there, but for some reason, there's a few hard classes left to take in your curriculum. And so you allow fear to stop you from completing. But if you've already got through 80%, 85% of the requirement, go ahead and finish. Why allow fear to hold you back? You've already invested so much into a situation. You've already come so far. God did not bring you this far to leave you behind. So it's very important not to allow fear to hold you back. It could even be taking the next step in a relationship. You know that you and another are meshed well together. You know that God has spoken to you about a particular person. And so you're allowing fear of the past. Maybe you've had toxic relationships after relationships in the past. And so you allow this fear thinking that, to hold you back, thinking that, the same is going to happen with the person that God may have actually brought you to, right? Perhaps God wasn't trying to bring you to those people of the past. So a lot of times we self-sabotage our blessings because of fear. The Bible lets us know that, perfect love casts out all fear. When perfect love exists, when you have perfect love of yourself and perfect love for others, you will not allow fear to hold you back because you know what you deserve, right? And you know what other people deserve. So this is why perfect love casts out all fear. So number 3 I want to talk about is focusing on other people's blessings. Sometimes, and you may not even be an envious person or a jealous person, but you may have been believing God for so long for something, and you look around and you see that it's happening for your friends, it's happening for others around you, and you're like, God, when is it going to be my time? When are you going to do it for me? And so you focus on others' blessing, not realizing that everybody has their own cross to bear. God gives everyone a certain measure according to his purpose and according to what that person can handle. He knows what you can handle. He knows your makeup. He knows your built. He knows how he created you. And so when you focus on other people and their blessings and you make it discourage you in your own situation, you block yourself. Because when we see our friends being blessed, when we see them finally getting the things they deserve, by you being genuinely happy for that person and celebrating them, sometimes that's the only key that maybe God is looking for, your heart posture, to open up the blessing in your own life. So always appreciate, when people around you start getting blessed, because sometimes, that stuff is contagious, right? So you're next. When you're around people where you start seeing good happening to them, then you're in the right place. So we should never focus on other people's blessing. Social media is so guilty of this. People normally post their vacations. They post their celebrations. They post their birthdays and things like that. Very seldom are you going to have people posting, their bad days. That's just social media. And so when you focus on what someone else has going on, they may post a fabulous weekend, but you don't know what their Monday through Friday is like. So when you're focusing on other people and allowing yourself to feel down, about what's going on over here, you need to stay in your own lane, right? And start getting to work and doing the things that God has called for you to do in your situation to get you out of a stagnant situation so that you can evolve and move forward. Another one is your prayer life is non-existence. The Bible tells us that we have not because we ask not. Sometimes God is just waiting for us to ask for what we want. Make your request, your supplication made known to God, right? All those that come to him must know that he is. It takes an act of faith to even pray, because when you pray, then you're saying, there is something supreme. There is something higher than you. So let me go to my Heavenly Father and ask him for what it is that I need, or tell him about my problems, right? Put my burdens on him, right? We're not meant to carry everything and play God in our life. So sometimes it's just our prayer life. He's simply wanting for us to have a relationship with him. It's kind of like some people, when you go to church, that may be the only time they talk to God. And so, God wants to hear from you every day, right? If you're in a relationship and you're dating, you may want to hear from that person every day or every other day. You don't want them coming and talking to you once a week. What relationship is that? We can't have a relationship with anyone without communication. And so one of the ways you will self-sabotage is your prayer life is non-existence. Number 5, you always isolate yourself. And it's funny, I hear this a lot in YouTube land. A lot of them talk about chosen ones. Chosen ones need to be isolated. But let's think about this thing here. We are a planet of 8 billion or more people. Why on God's green earth would he always want us to be isolated? Isolation is for a season. Even Jesus preached to the multitudes. Even Jesus had 12 disciples around him. He was their rabbi. He was their teacher. And I'm not saying you got to go out there and teach people and cause the multitudes to come before you in a crowd and do that. I'm saying that we have to socialize, right? We need people. We are a body of Christ. We have an arm, we have fingers, we have legs, we have a stomach. We have a head, we have a brain, and every single part of the body has something it needs to do, and it relies on each other. And so we need people in our life. So if God has not caused you to a season of isolation and you're just simply self-isolating because of depression or because you've been hurt badly or because of trauma, then you have to get yourself out of it. Maybe go for a walk, get some sunlight, go on a picnic, call a relative up on the phone, let them know you're thinking about them, pray for other people. Whatever steps you need to take to stop self-isolating, right? Because that's a form of self-sabotage. You could actually be stopping yourself from running into that stranger with the next opportunity, or even an angel with that next opportunity, that breakthrough to open up the heaven gates to pour you out a blessing. So when we are always self-isolating and being too self-righteous and thinking that we can't be around people, this is a form of self-sabotaging. Number 6, not allowing people to compliment you. And yes, we should be cautious because some people will compliment you because they're being manipulative. But some people actually genuinely want to give you a compliment. And it doesn't have to go to your head. Just say thank you, Sometimes somebody can say, oh, that dress is nice, girl. You're wearing it well. And you can say, oh, this old thing, you always play yourself down, not having confidence. And see, the enemy hears that. He hears your insecurity, and he plays on that. And so it's important that we accept the compliments coming our way. Sometimes people do admire us. Sometimes people do admire you. And they simply want to compliment you and tell you, hey, I like what you're doing. Hey, that's very inspiring, Hey, keep up the good work. And we need that encouragement. We are human beings. We are not perfect. God may not need the praise. We give him the praise because he's worthy. But sometimes we need that praise. We need a boost just to keep us going. So allow people to compliment you. Of course, be careful with the toxic people, with the manipulative people, with the people who are maybe playing on your ego. But keep a balanced perspective. That's not always the case. Also, not asking for help when you need it. Sometimes asking for help could simply be putting in leave at your job. If you are fortunate enough to have a job that offers you annual leave, go ahead and use it and take it. You may need a break. Everybody needs a vacation. Everybody needs a lunch break. Or, if you're in a co-parenting situation and you're doing a majority of the work, don't be afraid to ask, that child's parent, the other parent, to get more involved. Figure out how they can help more. We cannot do everything on our own. Or maybe you have a messy house and you just been maybe ill or you've been sick. Don't be too prideful or, too, like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, that you can't ask a friend that to help you, straighten up, or maybe even call for maid service, if you have the money and the funds to do that. So always, look for ways where you can ask for help, because we can't do everything. We can't. It's impossible. We, especially as mothers, we like to think, we are Shira. If you was, back in that era time and you grew up in the 80s like I did, and you watched He-Man and She-Ra, like She-Ra was the woman, right? She was like the woman version of He-Man. She could do anything. She was strong and mighty. She could fight and, protect herself. She did not need a man. But in real life, whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to need help, especially if you have a big vision. You have something to carry. You may need employees. You may need, if you're writing a book, you may need a publicist. If you're going to school, you may need a guidance counselor. We always need somebody. So we're not a one-stop shop. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Also, burning bridges. Burning bridges, that's definitely a big one with self-sabotage. When you are working on a job, and this is going to be a good one for the young people, when you get out there into the professional environment and you start working, you may not like a particular job, what you do. You may look down on it, as you're working and growing in your career, but never burn those bridges. Always leave that job in a good way. And what I mean by that is always put in that 2 weeks notice when you are leaving and going to another job, right? Always respect your supervisors so that you may be able to use them as a reference for your next job, for when you want to move on, right? So always treat people of your past well. Don't burn bridges with people. You never know when you're going to need them again. Also, never saying no. Never saying no. People may come to you for help. Friends may come to you to help set up this event, or to help babysit, for their child, they're going out on a date with their spouse, anything. And you have a problem with telling people no. And so it interferes with what you have going on. And maybe you didn't have much going on for the day. You just wanted to lounge around in your home, in your PJs, and watch TV. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. You need to set boundaries with people and tell them no. Ask yourself, what have you benefited from by allowing people to take advantage of you? How has it helped you in your life? Do you think you're going to lose that person if you tell them no? I don't think so. And if you do, then you know that person was using you anyway. So good riddance, right? So don't be afraid to tell people no. And so those are just the 9 things that I came up with on how we self-sabotage and don't realize it, right? And so I thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, because see, I'm going to ask you for help, promote my channel. If this helps you, if I've been helping you with a lot of my talks, then go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you back here another day. God bless.